A man who blows up his garden, a woman who gets caught stealing a car grill, a child who smashes a work of art. Make yourself comfortable. Here are 13 people who forgot they were being filmed by a camera. Let's start with this woman who, while jogging, passes by a house in front of which two beautiful cars were parked. She then decides to remove the gate of one of them, totally forgetting that a surveillance camera was screwed above her head. And it was precisely thanks to the two-way conversation camera that the owner of the car was able to ask the dishonest woman what she was doing.
Hey, what are you doing?
Once caught red-handed, the young woman had no choice but to get out of the car as fast as she came. This is not technology, this is art. In the city of Monshan, in eastern China, the cameras of a gas station were able to film an incredible scene. A reckless driver was filling up her car when suddenly she decided to leave without having bothered to check if the gas station attendant had removed the fuel hose. The fuel pump, which was still attached to the car, dropped the fuel dispenser when it started suddenly and tripped the attendant. The woman in her white SUV had probably checked the meter but quickly left without giving the attendant time to remove the hose. By doing so, the customer had unintentionally caused total chaos in the gas station. The pump attendant injured by the motorist's action was transferred to a nearby hospital. Upon investigation, it turned out that the driver was still a novice and had just obtained her driver's license. Having a young child is a huge responsibility, and I didn't say huge for nothing. Sometimes the child can cause a huge incident and lead you to pay a huge fine. Here's proof of that. It is very important to instill in children, from an early age, the importance of art and creation, otherwise, they will take your most beautiful statues as your crystal objects, for example, for toys or for perfect missiles. It is also essential to explain to them that you must not touch fragile objects because once broken, you can't go back. These images were captured in Overland Park, Kansas, USA. While an art exhibit was taking place in the lobby of the Tomahawk Ridge Community Center, parents joined a juxtaposed room and let their 5-year-old boy get a little too close to a work by artist Bill Lyons. As you can see in the CCTV footage, the curious toddler walks up to the glass sculpture, touches it, and immediately drops it. The Aphrodite de Kansas City ended up crumbling on the floor. Thinking that the statue was a work of lesser value, the parents left their contact information with the head of the center to eventually pay the broken pots. But what was their surprise when they discovered in the invoice that the statue was worth $132,000. And to rub salt in the wound, the toddler's parents received a letter from the city's insurance company a few days later, accusing them of negligence, a diatribe that the mother was quick to refute. The mother went even further, blaming the center, which she felt had not sufficiently protected the sculpture. For his part, the author of the famous bust wished simply to be reimbursed for the 2 years of work that the statue required of him. Time is money after all. The parents, who questioned the security of the installation, said they could not afford to pay such a sum and are waiting to see if the city will start legal proceedings against them. This is what is called like a bull in a china shop. These two young women smuggled themselves into a private residence. Without realizing that they were being filmed by the surveillance camera, they began to choose which of the pairs of shoes at the bottom of the door they were going to wear to enter the prison. Help them choose. In September 2012 in the United States, a man disguised as Batman was arrested for resisting and obstructing Maryland law enforcement as he drove aboard his Batmobile. The images showing him in superhero outfits have traveled around the world. The man nicknamed Petoskey's Batman is actually Mark Wayne Williams. He was driving around without papers, in a sports car with a real license plate, which bore the Batman badge. The man, a computer scientist who was obviously a fan of the comic book hero, said he wanted to do good around him and devote a lot of time to charity. According to authorities, Mark Wayne was arrested for allegedly refusing to leave them alone while they searched for a driver who had fled following an accident. Interviewed by the local newspaper in Petoskey, a seemingly uneventful town in the northern United States, the self-proclaimed vigilante said he had been disguised for a long time and thought he was doing a service to the citizens by keeping an eye on them, without claiming to be a police officer. Mark also explained that he wore his Batman costume every Friday and Saturday night and that he went out with his girlfriend, Brittany Scott, who dressed as a Batgirl. Then, from 10 p.m. to 3:30 a.m., the couple used to patrol downtown Petoskey on foot and by car. This is not the first time that Mark Wayne Williams has been arrested, as a few months earlier, police had arrested him after receiving a report warning that an individual dressed as Batman was standing on the roof of a building in the town of Petoskey. After pleading guilty, he was given a 6-month probationary suspension, during which time he was prohibited from wearing disguises. For this second time, the man is facing a greater risk. His charities can get him up to 2 years in jail. There are many ways to relieve the stress of work. Take a coffee break or a breath of fresh air while walking, listen to one or two of your favorite music, or just start dancing like crazy. These two men forgot that the surveillance camera in their workplace was working and that it was working very well, as it caught them doing a ridiculous choreography while they were on duty. Some people work their tail off. In a quiet and uneventful village, while cars were traveling at very low speeds on a quiet road, a horse-drawn carriage, driven by a raging horse, suddenly appeared and crossed the traffic lane at very high speed, surprising motorists who were on the verge of hitting the animal. I don't know which one of them had a narrow escape, the car or the animal. As for the driver of the carriage, he must have thought he was driving a Ferrari because I don't see why he would do such a thing. The job of a delivery driver is a risky one. In addition to the fact that he can sometimes make strange encounters, the deliveryman must also overcome bad weather and the vagaries of the weather. Whether it's raining, windy, or snowing, they have to meet delivery deadlines while ensuring that the package arrives intact. While it is true that delivery people generally prefer to delay delivery when conditions are dangerous, from time to time, an employee will step out of the way and do his or her duty at any cost. This is the case of a UPS delivery man who was filmed by a security camera doing his best to deliver a package across an icy alley. The man who was supposed to receive his package said that when he heard the UPS truck arrive, he opened his garage door to tell the delivery man to leave the package in the driveway and that he would find a way to pick it up later. However, the UPS employee insisted on sending the package to the recipient's home. The delivery man made every effort to get the package to the door even though it slipped and fell on the ice-covered aisle. The recipient was very touched by the delivery man's dedication and praised his perseverance. Well, he worked hard, certainly got a bump when he fell, but surely impressed his boss. That was the joke of the day. This is the worst and most ridiculous robbery attempt you have ever seen in your life. Being a thief cannot be improvised. It takes a good dose of courage, cold blood, a lot of talent, and a bit of intelligence. And it is precisely the latter that this man, who wanted to tear out a cash dispenser. The Australian police posted the images of this rather peculiar robbery attempt on YouTube. In the video, a man with a roughly masked face is seen trying to tear down a cash dispenser in a gas station. But there's a small problem. While the plan seemed simple and feasible in theory, in practice it turned out to be much more complicated. As you can see in the pictures, the man starts by breaking the window of the store, passes the chain to the machine, and then he starts to storm aboard his pickup, also stolen, to tear off the dispenser which will not move. The chain has given way. The second attempt is no more successful since the amateur thief miscalculates the distance needed to reattach the chain and ends up abandoning the place, without a distributor, without a penny, but with the biggest shame of his life since his video has gone around the world. Chasing rats, insects, and other bugs out of your house is a real pain. One man seems to have found the fatal weapon against moles. Fatal, in every sense of the word. This man was filmed by a CCTV camera at his home, throwing burning matches on his lawn that he had previously doused with gasoline, in order to remove a molehill. Except that he probably had a heavy hand on the gas can, since at one point the lawn exploded in the air in large chunks, throwing the man into the air. The explosion then gave way to a huge crater in the middle of his lawn. The advantage is that it will advance the work for a possible future swimming pool. In the pictures, the man seemed shocked by what had just happened, and yet, he said that this explosive idea was instilled in him by his father who, according to him, used to do so to hunt moles and destroy the invading anthills in his garden. In any case, it worked. The man almost died, but at least it worked and that's the main thing. One thing is sure in any case, it was hot. On a highway in Russia, a man was filmed by a motorist doing an amazing thing. While the blue car was towing the white car, the man in question was in the trunk holding a tire with his own hands to prevent the two cars from colliding during the trip. A nod to the cigarette he holds in his mouth as quietly as if he were in the middle of a Sunday fishing trip. In this car garage, the surveillance camera filmed a shocking accident. While she was waiting for her car to be examined by the mechanics, a woman accidentally fell into the huge cavity under the cars. Luckily, one of the employees noticed that the woman had been sucked into the vacuum, and quickly rushed to help her. There are days when you feel like you're at the bottom of the abyss. For her it was really the case that day. Recently, the French fuel brand Total recently carried out a new advertising campaign to promote its new Total Access service stations. Films with a humorous tone featuring people with strange behavior in a gas station, all with hidden cameras, and relating the small gaps in customers' consciousness when they are at the gas station. Thinking they're alone, customers go wild, from the naive little dance to the woman who cleans her car in a sexy way. The fall is also very funny since at the end of the compilation the following catchphrase appears, "At this price, we can't imagine that there is someone at our service." The goal of this campaign, as you might have guessed, was to make Total Access stations the theaters of life where customers play the lead role. Staged in situations that are as intimate as they are amusing, the customers don't suspect the presence of another actor, the station manager, with a friendly eye. A comical situation that is surprising because, in the public's mind, prices at the lowest in the market cannot go hand in hand with a human presence at the service of customers. So, the next time you go to fill up your tank, don't be foolish. So, what do you think of these hilarious sequences? Which one made you laugh the most? Tell us in the comments.